The views and opinions expressed on all radio shows broadcast on KYOK are entirely those of the host, guests, and callers who are entirely responsible for all show content and do not in any way reflect the opinions of KYOK Radio, its sponsors, staff, or management.
You walk out on that field today. Ask yourself this question. What time is it? Game time! What time is it? Game time! What time is it? Game time! What time is it? Let's go! We ready! We ready! We ready! We ready! And let's go to the house! And let's go to the house! When I step on the field, I send one message. This is what it feels like. This is what it feels like. Football is getting hit. That's it. It's gonna be football now. What time is it?
See that black and gold yesterday? You see that black and gold defense?
What time is it? Game time. What time is it? Let's hunt now. Let's hunt now. Let's go. Let's hunt. We ready? And let's go to the house. And let's go to the house.
Hey, Kendrick.
We're talking about the Jets like we're talking about the Saints. You know, all this, how like we the Miami Heat of football. Yeah. The bottom line is you got to buckle up your chin straps. It's embarrassing. Yeah. Don't disrespect the game like that. There's too much crying from him. He's a man. They can be hit just like us. He's a man. You already make the big money. He's a man. Don't cry when you step on the field, man. That's who I did. When I step on the field, I send one message. This is what it feels like.
You already know.
My bad.
Hey,
You ain't gonna work in my world. What time is it? Game time. What time is it? Game time. What time is it? Game time. What time is it? Let's go. Let's go. We ready? And let's go to the house. And let's go to the house. It's a wrap. Game over.
Oh no, game's just getting started right here on the lunch break on the legendary KYOK and the all-new 92.3 FM. Doing something a little different today. Going out without my sports goggles, better known as my glasses. I just had to do it today. Texans got close. Astros got close. Both of them came up short. Texans got close. Astros got close. Both of them came up short. I want to shout out to my black and gold sister Gina Fleming. She's a big Pittsburgh Steelers fan. They are undefeated. That defense is real. That defense is real as Baker Mayfield, because they got him off the field. And ladies and gentlemen, I kind of kept it as a surprise, backed by popular demand, part of the Dome Patrol, writer for CrescentCitySports.com, and host of Hard in the Paint. You know him. It's Big David Grubb. What's going on, DMG?
How you doing? It's good to be back. Been too long. But I took a nice little break for myself and get a little re-energized and reinvigorated.
We missed you, but I'm glad you took that time for you, because, brother, I want to take some time for me, too.
It was just necessary. You know what I mean? It only took like 5 minutes this morning for me to realize again, like, why I took that break. I mean, you just start seeing stuff and I don't need all of this. So
I saw you come back with a vengeance on Twitter, and I'm like, you know what? It's like riding a bike. He's been gone, but he ain't been gone long.
No, the tongue is no less sharp, but just because you put the sword in the sheath.
You put a picture of Tupac and somebody else, and you said one of these two are going to be the next head coach of New Orleans. Who was the other guy?
It was four. It was Tupac from Above the Rim. It was Coach Smiley from The Fresh Prince. It was John Turturro, who was the coach at Tech U in He Got Game. And Nick Nolte from Blue Chips. So I was just like, at this point, we've been waiting so long, they might as well just pull somebody from fiction.
Bro, for real, man. Any of those would be better than Stan Van Gundy. I don't know why everybody didn't want me to be the coach. It was Dwight Howard that ruined things for me in Orlando. That is the whiningest dude in the world. There ain't nowhere in the world you can let that dude be the head coach of New Orleans.
You know, there are positives and there are negatives with Stan. He's, it's clearly, he knows the game. We know that part. But like you said, his personality is something that can rub players the wrong way. It rubbed Shaq the wrong way. It rubbed Dwight Howard the wrong way. It rubbed Blake Griffin the wrong way. So, yeah, that's the thing, is can he coexist with people in a way? Because it seems like he gets along with role players. Like JJ Redick speaks really, really high of him. There are other players who are like the secondary guys who really speak high of him. They talk about his intelligence, his understanding of the game. But you have to be able to connect with your star. And that's just how it goes. And maybe it was trying to push too hard on guys who didn't understand the culture that he came from. Because, Shaq came into the Miami Heat culture, which was certainly something that he had not experienced in LA or Orlando. And Dwight Howard, again, is the kind of guy that we've seen over the years. You question his maturity. So I think you have to be a very strong person to deal with a Stan Van Gundy as a player. You need to know who you are, and you need to either be able to receive it and let it take in what he's trying to tell you, or just let it bounce off your back. And that's what makes him such a difficult coach to see what's the perfect fit for him.
I don't think I've ever in my life seen a coach go in front of the media and do everything a coach is not supposed to do. I mean, he spilled all the tea in Orlando, and he did it in that whiny little, I can't say what I want to say voice. And I just said at that time, this guy should never coach again. I mean, this guy should never, analyst, broadcaster, color commentator, you name it, great. But over young men, I don't know.
I mean, I can't always co-sign for Dwight, because Dwight did some shady things.
You know what? And again, if we take the name off of it and just look at what happened, I mean, I'm not going to get into the Mark Jackson stuff, but it's almost like we put more energy on the name and the personality. And bro, I'm just telling you, as a coach, and I'm a general manager, he couldn't coach my team.
I'm just saying, I would just say, that's why I said some of you have to measure very carefully. What kind of team do you have? What kind of team do you have that's going to be successful under him? If you don't have the right mix for him, and there are certain coaches, it takes a very specific mix of players for it to work. And he's one of those people. So you have to be quite certain that the guys that you're putting around him are going to buy in, because if they don't, and particularly the star, it can collapse very quickly. And, you don't want to have, like you had in Miami, where, Shaq called him the master of panic. And that stuck. I mean, that hit him really. So, I mean, you know what I'm saying? So, like, if that's what your players are saying about you publicly, then that's a big problem. So you have to be very certain that relationship is going to work. Otherwise, it could be really bad, or you can get to the NBA Finals. I mean, it can. It's a crapshoot. He's a bigger crapshoot than others, but I right now I don't know what the Pelicans are doing. I have no idea.
My thought process would be this: who am I going to turn Zion Williamson over to? I got this once in a lifetime player. Who am I going to turn him over to? And Stan Van Gundy would not even be on that list, let alone high on that list. But we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. Because like you said, if the star buys out in him, like in other places, like Shaq, like Dwight Howard, like other guys, I mean, I wouldn't wait long. He might get a year. Didn't work out, Stan. Sorry.
Because you don't have a lot of time in New Orleans. And people think that they do. Right. And I was just doing the math this morning. I said, Chris Paul made the playoffs in New Orleans in year 3. New Orleans, of course, got a pass because of Hurricane Katrina. You know what I mean? So that timetable was a little bit different. And the NBA contracts were a little bit different for rookies when Chris Paul was around. Then Anthony Davis makes the playoffs in year 3, and it was by the skin of their teeth. That was the year that Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook missed like a combined 50 games. Right. So, and the Pelicans beat them out by 1 game. Yep. So it was just, the likelihood was that the Pelicans wouldn't have made the playoffs had Westbrook or Durant been healthy, but they make it in year 3. I don't think the Pelicans can wait to year 3 for Zion Williamson to make the playoffs. because this is, like you said, this is Michael Jordan's handpicked number one guy. This is the face of, this is who they want to be the face of the NBA going forward, or at least one of them. You know, one of those guys to carry the league into the next 10 to 15 years.
Right.
They can't, the NBA doesn't want him to miss out on the playoffs for a second straight year. Not him, not Zion.
No.
You know what I mean? Anthony Davis ain't Zion Williamson either. You know what I'm saying? Like, he don't move merchandise.
Right.
Zion moves eyeballs and merchandise. And that out of the playoffs can't happen 2 years in a row.
Let me get a quick break. We got him here today. David Grubb, Heart in the Paint, CrescentCitySports.com, and more. We'll do it when we come back. I'm going to need some help. If I got anybody who knows how to sew or put stuff together, I'm coming back. I need your help. We'll be right back on the lunch break on the legendary KYOK and the all-new 92.3 FM. I'm AJ Jones.
This is Oral G. Robinson. When people say my vote doesn't matter, when you don't vote, your vote counts against you. The other side gets a vote. If you want
I was thinking today that Cleveland would be an interesting trade partner for Houston to get some young, cheap players in exchange for Harden or Westbrook. Because I don't see the Rockets winning a championship going forward. Do you?
No.
So you got to start dumping them, and now while they're at their peak value. Russell Westbrook's value goes down every week.
They're saying that now that D'Antoni is gone, it might open the door for them to trade Harden.
I think Cleveland is a very interesting partner because you got a young guard there. You got a small forward in CD Osman that played very well. You get some picks. You know what I'm saying? Take a couple picks, and then you get maybe Larry Nance Jr. back to play. To play up front.
Size.
I think that gives you that. You break Harden's contract up into 3 or 4 players and some picks, some number ones. Spread them out over a couple of years because Houston needs the ones too. You need the picks.
Right.
So I mean, I think Cleveland, because none of the contenders are going to give Houston what they want.
Yeah.
So you can't send them to a championship team. You got to send them somewhere that's got pieces. Maybe you try to send them to Charlotte, and say, give me back Malik Monk. Was the forward number 25? What am I forgetting? What's his name?
They only get paid if you win. So please call 800-251-7816.
And while we're thinking about it, somebody else mentioned Sacramento boxes from this area.
If they don't feel like they can re-sign De'Aaron Fox, that could work because then they also have a lot of bigs too. Remember, Sacramento has a ton of bigs that they may need to move around to keep them playing time.
A big.
So if you're Houston, you want to get a perimeter player and a big in return, because then you can have
Washington.
Yes, I really like PJ Washington. Athletic guy, could play small forward and power forward.
But our Senator, Republican John Cornyn,
because then you're still flexible defensively. Because you keep Covington.
We vote for Democrat MJ Hagar.
Now, if you're going to bottom out, then sell Covington because you could get number ones for Covington right now, too. You ain't getting no ones for Russ. You just getting salary dump.
Say they are interested, and they got some picks.
Most importantly,
I mean, the Knicks would give up anything probably to get Russ. The Knicks need anybody. They don't care. They might give it.
Yeah, they got these releases. They're interested in this and this and that. It's like, dog, y'all interested in everybody.
Paid for by MJ.
The Knicks will take you. They give you some room.
Right now, I'll go.
I'll play. I'll give you 0.0, just like a lot of those guys are giving you for much less.
My stat line look just like old boys.
Sign me to the league minimum. I will be Kevin Knox for you. I can miss all the threes out you want.
Right here on legendary KYOK Radio, 1140 AM, and the all-new 92.3 FM at KYOKradio.org. It's the lunch break on KYOK. All
right, y'all, back here on the lunch break on the legendary KYOK and the all-new 92.3 FM. I'm AJ Jones. It's Media Monday. And I got my guy back, David Grubb, host of Heart in the Paint, writer for CrescentCitySports.com, and does a whole lot of other stuff. David, listen, man, phenomenons of Corona and the lockdown. I need to get off of Amazon, bro. I got it bad, man. I done ordered, you name it, I done ordered it on Amazon. So I wanted something different than the traditional face mask. I ordered it. I ordered it, and I like it. But what am I gonna do with this? I feel like
that's not good. But see, I'd be worried like getting mistaken for 5-0. And you know you're living in Houston, right?
I know.
It's hot and humid, and that thing is gonna just get steamed up.
Well, unfortunately, it tells all your business over here on the side. It's got a anti-fog, anti-static coating on it. So I got that
anti-south. The South. There's an anti. Just.
It's got my warning label. It tells everybody what it is, as if they don't know. It's a face shield and a direct splash protection. Can I get somebody who knows how to sew to give me some kind of fabric or something? Can I put Velcro on this? I don't want to put.
I think you could get a nice, label that you could create that would go across that. Just get your measurements, and do your template and knock it out.
So I want it to be crafty and do that. But I think I want Velcro so I can pull it off. One day it'll be blue. Another day I want to feel red. Another day I want to feel some fuchsia.
I mean, you could put your name on there.
Dre Dog, you know what I'm saying? Big Baller Dre. I want to go with all my alter egos, but I got to cover this up. This ain't gonna help my brand. My platform is gonna suffer, but I got 5 of them.
Hey, would you rather be corona free or cool?
Right now I need both. Right now I need both. The recent corona test said no, nothing happening, so I got time to be fly. Y'all pray for me.
Excuse me.
If I got a lunch breaker out there that knows how to sew and do all this kind of stuff, hit me up. Let me know. I want to do Velcro and I want to do different colors.
You can do that. You can just measure the Velcro strips.
Yeah.
And you could do the paper and do laminate.
Okay, so that's what I was trying to figure out. What I know some fabrics you can't put a Velcro tape on the back of.
Just do a laminate. Excuse me. Allergies been acting up all day.
Yeah, here too. I was standing in line and had an allergy cough, and baby, I cleared it out.
I took the dog out about 5 minutes before I got on here, so it's one of those days where the air quality is not that great.
All right, so Amy Boucher Castro Claire Johnson Jones said, see, Amy, I'm not gonna do all that. Look on Etsy, and you can get stickers, patches with Velcro. I ordered one that I wore to meet Dave Chappelle. Amy, help me, because Etsy or Etsy or whatever it is, I'm probably gonna spend more money on there. Help me, please.
Yeah, you will spend money on there.
CJ said, men, do not make this sexist. You women, don't make this about sexism. Be best.
Etsy got some. Excuse me.
That's all right. Look, whatever you do, don't go to the show, bro. We don't need those ratings.
I know.
But I've been dying.
Hey, but if you are looking for a mask, I sell masks on Redbubble.
But do you sell them like this? I'm trying to.
No, I don't do the shields, but I got
shields, bro. I'm trying to go up. What was the dance we used to do like this? I'm trying to take it on up higher.
You got to figure out how to get the tinted shield then.
Oh. Now, see, I hadn't even thought about that. Is that on Amazon? I
don't know. You got to check. They might have the tinted shield out there, and then then you're really doing something. And maybe you attach the spinners on the side of the shield.
Elbows on the side and spinners. Oh man, you done
chrome right around the whole rim. Put some chrome.
We'll talk off air because you hit it. You hit it off.
You should have a switch. So like when you hit the switch, then it goes woo, and it goes up when you want to go up. When you hit that switch again, woo. Now you got it. You got a real Houston style. Then you know what I'm saying. Then you start putting that. You put that screw, and you start listening to that screw, and you got your.
Trisha Cal said, "What? No, it's not a car. No."
You got to make it Houston.
Man, Listen, I went to a funeral and somebody had elbows on their car. I'm like, man, that's what's up right there. That's what, look, Pookie show gonna miss you in your bows. So
Man, hey, I mean, you can stunt with your mask, right?
it's my mask. It's my platform. I can't be like everybody else. I like the tent though. I like the tent, especially when it's one of those tents where you turn
One-way
one way
tent.
it's like red, you turn this way it's blue, you turn that way it's yellow. I like that. That you didn't hit me with that right there.
There you go. See, now you got to see if you can work that.
Trisha Kyle called it foolishness. Stop it, Trisha Kyle. You're stepping on my dream.
I know.
CJ said, "Man, meaning you guys are funny. Stop it again, man." What? Didn't Salt and Pepper have a song about men? I think somebody back in the day, men, something. I don't remember. All
But
right,
what's the critique that we can't talk about masks?
I don't know. Trish, and then she says, "Thank you, Trisha Kyle." I thought I could come and be myself and bare my soul and get some help from my friends. Clearly, that's not the case.
It's just conversation, man. It's just conversation. People, you got to find little joys in life. You just have fun, man. Because, like I said, there's too much. There's too much every day.
That hurt my feelings. That hurt my feelings. So, but anyway, I got that. I bared my soul. We got to get ready to take another quick break. I got 2 quick commercials, and then when I come back, David, here's what I want to talk about.
Okay.
I want to talk about the Astros. I want to talk about the Texans. I want to talk about Alabama. Because I'm just saying like this. Those kids have no chance on the college level. They have no chance. And I've got no faith in any head coach saying, I got your kid's best interests at heart. So I don't know which order we'll do it. It'll hit me just like this order purchase on Amazon hit me when we come back right here on the lunch break on the legendary KYOK and the all-new 92.3 FM.
I mean, I'm like that whole, this whole, excuse me, the Saints, talking about they're going to go to Baton Rouge if the city doesn't let them have fans in. And I'm like, this is the worst part of the year. This is the part of the year when people are getting the flu. This is when transmissions are expected to go up, and y'all want to put more people in stadiums. That is counterintuitive.
On election day, November the 3rd.
Like, you don't give a damn about people. You just care about dollars. And that to me is so flagrant, and I don't understand why people aren't pushing back on that more.
Right. That's what I'm saying, bro. The kids don't have a chance.
This is important.
You've had these games canceled. You have look at Florida. The game, Florida LSU game is canceled right after the coach says, I want to see a full stadium. And then you get a outbreak on your team. And they're already talking about these kids are going to go home at Thanksgiving break, and all these students are going to be infecting parents and stuff like that. It's going to happen. They don't care about these kids. They don't care.
Nick Saban would have had to call me from the upper bleachers to come down to get in the game. I wouldn't have been nowhere near him. And he was over there fooling around with that mask and all that kind of stuff. No. If I was a referee, get away from me. Get away from me, Nick. Nick, you come by me and I'll throw you out the game.
Yeah, I don't care that he tested negative 2 times. That ain't enough. You're supposed to be in quarantine.
Did he really? I don't believe it at all.
Remember, we talked about that. There's nobody to verify that, no third party.
The legendary KYOK
I got one more commercial.
92.3 FM. Radio stations in one.
Now is a great time to replace your worn out
Fucking
by
idiot.
Anderson
Keep
25
telling
year
they didn't do
savings
nothing.
event. Upgrade
What
your
did they
home
do? Did they
today.
play this
Buy
weekend?
4 windows and get the 5th one free. Plus, get
They were
12
down
months
10
with
to
no
nothing,
interest,
weren't
no
they?
money down, and no payments.
They got
Call
blanked in the
now.
first quarter,
Get
didn't
4
they?
windows and get the 5th one free. Installation and warranty included. Renewal by Anderson takes every CDC recommended safety.
We knew Green Bay didn't have a great defense.
For
We knew that
25
already.
trusted us for their
Yeah,
window
that was that
replacement
bad.
needs, and you can too.
All I got to
Call
say is
now to
Pittsburgh's
learn about
defense
our
is the
buy
business,
4,
bro.
get the 5th one free
Pittsburgh's
window
defense
replacement offer.
ain't no joke.
800
The Ravens hit too, bro. And Carolina. Carolina hits.
245
The Saints, I don't understand how the Saints are 7.5 point favorite.
45
I don't even know.
37. That's 800 245 1537.
Interest accrues from date of purchase, but is waived if paid in full within 12 months. Other conditions apply. We've adjusted our operations to serve you safely following all CDC guidelines. Visit renewalbyanderson.com for details.
The lunch break on the legendary KYOK.
All right, y'all. We're back here on the lunch break on the legendary KYOK and the all-new 92.3 FM. I'm AJ Jones. It is Media Monday. Got my brother like no other back with me today. And that is David Grubb, host of Heart in the Paint and a writer for CrescentCitySports.com. As I said before the break, man, I wanted to talk about a couple of things when we came back. I want to talk about the Astros. We'll do that in a little bit. I want to talk about the Texans. We'll do that in a little bit. But let's get to this college football thing. Nick Saban, winning as coach, whatever, tested positive early last week for coronavirus. Wanted to coach from home remotely. Was told that he could not do that. Pushed the envelope to try to run it up the chain of the SEC and could not get them to alter or make an exception for the rules. Shortly after that, we started hearing about Nick Saban's negative coronavirus test results. 2 of them, all of a sudden, Nick Saban is able to be on the sideline with arguably the biggest game of the season for his Alabama Crimson Tide. I don't believe it at all. I don't believe it one bit. That's just me. Call me out my name, do what you want to do, but I don't believe Nick Saban tested negative for coronavirus twice this past week.
Yeah, we talked about that before the season started, is whether or not we could trust the results, because the SEC, among other conferences, declined to report coronavirus results.
That fact.
And then
that's a fact.
And then on top of that, we knew that the protocol was that if you test, you have to quarantine.
Right.
That was the rule for players. That was supposed to be the rule for coaches. That if you had a positive test, it didn't matter. You were supposed to go into quarantine until 2 weeks, 14 days. That's what it was.
Right.
He didn't do that. He didn't do that. And so to me, that the SEC, the NCAA, and every parent of every player on that team should have a problem with Nick Saban today. And there should be a fine levied and a suspension. He should be suspended for the 2-week period. He shouldn't be able to have any contact with that team. He should have to be in quarantine. That is just the way the rules are. And he should have to observe them just like everybody else. And I don't understand logically why you would do this. The only reason that you allow this is because Nick Saban has that much power within the sport, and that college football, the NCAA have no real concern for the health of those athletes.
And that's why I say none of it has any credibility anymore. It was already suspect credibility, but none. I mean, zero. To the point where I don't even want to talk about it because it doesn't make sense. It's a waste of my time. I'm just giving Nick Saban and all his minions free airtime, and it's just ridiculous. So, this whole, we got the best interest of the players, and we're going to make sure that they get everything they need. Shut up. You're going to make sure you get your millions of dollars on your contract, and you're going to make sure you get your way. And that's all we saw this weekend with Nick Saban and his shenanigans sidestepping the criteria for the coronavirus. That's all we saw.
And what are we seeing in the stands as well from these universities? You're seeing students, together in groups, not wearing masks. You see, fans in general not wearing masks. And you see pleas from coaches to add more fans to the stadium. And as you see that happen, and it's going to happen, we're going to see more outbreaks because we already know the projections are there. This is science that they have already stated. We are heading into the flu season. Right. So that there will be higher transmission, and that these college students, when they go home for fall break and Christmas holidays, will bring it home to their families. And that just means you're going to see a greater outbreak on not only college campuses, but throughout the country. And if that's the case, you have to stop letting people in the stadiums for the short term. It's not worth it. It's just not worth it. It doesn't make sense. If you're going to play these games, that is already a risk that I don't think they should be taking. At the very least, you cannot, in good conscience, put fans in jeopardy and the community in jeopardy, because those people who don't watch football and don't care about the game don't need to be infected by somebody who came from a giant spreader event.
Yeah. Hold on. Somebody just called. This is going to be interesting. Hello, you're live on the lunch break. Who's this? They hung up. Call back. Listen, I don't have a producer in here. So if you call and you hear me pick it up and put it on hold, stay there so that I can come to you. But I don't have time to pick up the phone. Hi, how you doing? You doing good? I'm so glad. Hey, hold on. And so call back. Call back. All right, here you go. Stay there. I'm coming right to you. Hello, you're live on the lunch break. Who's this?
Hey, this is Larry Davis. I'm calling up about the third ward over here.
What about Third Ward?
No, I'm calling about what's going. You running your mouth about Nick Saban.
Wait a minute. I'm running my mouth. That's probably not gonna get you long on the call. You want to try that again?
Well, no. Well, I'm trying to figure out what's going on. Why would you say? What would he have to gain out of faking coronavirus?
Okay, so first of all, let me tell you how this show works because I don't know you from a can of paint. Call with your point, state it. You don't have to agree with me, but you do have to respect me. It's my show. You understand how that works?
Yes, sir. And
Can we agree to that?
What you're saying. Yeah, not a problem. Yeah.
Okay, all right, so we'll start over. All right, so my opinion was I don't trust Nick Saban. I don't trust that he followed the guidelines and the protocols once he received a positive test. I believe that because he tried to go about it coaching from home or coaching remotely. He tried several ways to get that approval. When he didn't get that, all of a sudden, we started hearing about negative tests. If Nick Saban was truly, quote unquote, positive, then why would he not try to go ahead and get the negative test first? We didn't hear about that first. What we heard about was him trying to get the SEC to go around the rules to allow him to coach remotely. Then all of a sudden, we heard about 2 negative tests, and he was very lax on how he was handling his mask and himself on the sidelines after having received a positive test for COVID-19. So yeah, I think I've got enough evidence to make me suspect.
Yeah, okay. If you put it that way, you got a good point. Thank you for explaining your point, sir. Have a good day.
You do the same. Thank you. Okay, I said it was going to be interesting. I felt like it was going to be interesting.
It was.
So listen, all I'll say is this. You don't have to agree with me. I've never once said from the 3 years I've been doing the show that you got to agree with me. What I did say, though, is share your point. We are one of the most balanced, most different side of the spectrum shows that you can call up, man. You can dog my favorite team. You can dog the local teams. You can just be honest about what you feel as long as you can back it up. But, man, coming with insults and all of that, and like these text messages that I get from people, I don't know nothing about sports, and you're an ignorant. Wow, how'd you get a show? Get one of your own and run it the way you want to. But don't call me trying to, be a weekend warrior or behind the scenes warrior. I don't know you from a can of paint.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, we say what we think, and if we lied or if we catered to people, they would know, and we wouldn't be authentic, and people wouldn't care.
That's
so
why
clearly, if it's enough to make somebody upset, then you're listening, and B, if you got a problem with it, you can easily say something like you said, but say it in a respectful manner. Let's have the conversation. It ain't personal. None of this is personal.
Trust me, it is not. What's personal is I would never send my child to play for Nick Saban. I don't
talking about professional. That's a professional.
9 straight championships. My child ain't gonna go play for Nick Saban. Don't trust him. Don't trust. And again, I'll take it even a step further. The whole NCAA student athletes, it is a farce. It is a farce. They are employees that are not being paid, and they try to hide them under scholarships, which they earned. You're not giving them a scholarship. They earned it. And if you won't extend one to them, somebody else will. So, you know what, again, the NCAA has been a joke. Mark Emmert is a joke. The president of the SEC is a joke. Big 12 is a joke. ACC is a joke. They're all jokes. Look at the ratings. Look at the rankings right now. It's a joke. It's a joke. There's nothing authentic about it. None.
People trying to judge teams. It's like, how can you judge any of this? How can you judge any of this? This is all just, it's chaos. Just for it's a circus just for the money. And so we're willing to do this and put this kind of jeopardy on athletes. And again, the pros, they negotiated this. Can't say nothing to them. I mean,
Right.
they're grown men.
I agree with that. That's
And
totally
there's they have their own protections based on their negotiations. But high school and college players have no choice in this.
Man,
and they are pawns in the games of adults.
Let me tell you something. I went to Langham Creek Side Springs football game on Saturday, and again, social distance they were, but you got folks in the stands without masks on, and I don't know if that group down there is family. They've all been together. But what I do know is when they get up and they walk to the concession stand and they walk to the bathroom and they go walk around like kids and young people do at those games, and they don't have masks on, then they're exposing everyone else to what they may be carrying. And I don't care that it's outside. Y'all assume that just because we're outside that the virus goes straight up in the air and just dissipates. How do you know it doesn't go directionally before it goes up and dissipates?
I mean, the thing is, what's the saying that we were always taught? Your rights end where mine begin.
Well,
and so you cannot make me incur a risk because you want to. You can't do that. That's just not how society works. You cannot put me unwittingly at risk just because you want to assume it. That's not how society's supposed to work.
Well, unfortunately, it does. And you got folks that feel like as long as they can do what they want to do, you shouldn't have a problem with it. But then they want to dictate what you do. They want to dictate what you do. Because watch this. Going into the stadium, man, I had to pass a health test. I felt like they took blood. I felt like they screened my liver. I felt like I went through an MRI. But as soon as I got on the other side of the metal detector, it was all bets off. Soon as I got to the plaza level and sat down at this big stadium, it was all bets were off. And
you don't have enough security to go enforce that in the stadiums. You don't have enough people. You don't have enough ushers to go around and tell people to do it. And then what are you going to do? You're going to have them stand there that whole time because as soon as they go back up the stairs, mask comes right off.
And that's what I also noticed. I got David Grubb, host of Hard in the Paint, and CrescentCitySports.com joining me on Media Monday. That's what I also noticed. The players on the sidelines, they weren't wearing masks. I understand when you're in the game, but on the sidelines, they're not wearing masks, and they're all in each other's face talking about the last play. Coaches have on masks, but you know how that goes. We saw, Mr. I Am God, Nick Saban, with his mask all down around his neck and his chin and that nasty nose out and yell. Had the nerve to be yelling at somebody. Jimbo Fisher had the nerve to be yelling in a young man's face. And I'm sorry, y'all better get it. This is not 1987, 97, where a coach can grab you by the face mask and pull you close, and we just call that good coaching. These young people have showed you're not going to handle me any kind of way. And you get all up in his face, and you spitting, and you got coronavirus. If the young man decides to get some distance between you and him, I don't want to hear your mouth because you forced them to be out there. You made them have to suit up and be out there because you couldn't miss out on your college football playoff championship, and you couldn't miss out on your Big 12 championship, and you're going to not want to miss out on your dumb bowl games. It's a joke. All of it is a joke.
If we had done this right from the beginning, we probably wouldn't even be talking about this right now. If we had done this right from the beginning, but hindsight and being 2020 doesn't help at this point, but there's still an opportunity to do the right thing. And
David, because I don't know if I see it. I don't see
it. And that's the sad thing. It's like in New Orleans, like you said, our mayor is under attack because she will not allow the Saints to have fans in the stadium right now because it's an enclosed building. And the results that she's had so far have been great. New Orleans has a infection rate now of like 1%.
And it was one of the highest in the country at one point.
Yeah, remember, that was a hot spot. It was the hot spot in the country for a good run.
New York at one point.
And now it's down to 1%. And I think it's 6 times less than the state average still. And people are still fighting her on this, that she needs to open everything up. And it's like, it's almost there. We are almost at the finish line with this, at least locally. We have it contained, and people just want to just take the risk and just throw the locks off the door and let it back out. And it's like you don't tempt fate like this. You don't tempt fate when there's not a balance around everybody. when everybody's not at 1%. I can't allow these 6%, these 10%, these 20% over here to come into the city again and turn that back up because you want to watch the football game in person. You got a TV. It's better view anyway. Stay home.
Right. Well, here's what I love about the high school game. My daughter, who's on the dance team, they've taken them out of the stands. They're over in the end of the end zone, and they've got their seats well spread out, and they've got their masks on. And what I love about the way they did their uniforms, they walk out on the field wearing their masks, and right before they start hitting this little thing that sounds like a cowbell or something. It's just a little tick, tick, tick. They pull their mask down, and the masks are right under their neck. And they go out and they do their 2-minute performance. And when they kneel down at the end, like, ta-da, they put their mask back up. And they've made it a part of the movement because it's all in unison. They put their mask back up, they get up, and they march off the field. And they go right back to the end of the end zone where nobody else is. They spread out, and they're all behind their masks watching the game and talking to each other that way. But like I said, I just noticed on Saturday that the football players on the sideline are not wearing masks. And coaches are all in their faces. They're all in each other's faces. And guess what? They're not going back to a bubble. They're coming to somebody's house. They're going to somebody's store. They're going to somebody's restaurant. They're going to somebody's fast food restaurant. And then they're coming back to somebody's house. And only God knows what they're bringing. Let me take a quick break. We'll get off this. Again, if you want to call, please call with some respect and decency. 281-453-1000. 281-453-1000. That's all I ask. You can have your point. Just back it up and be respectful. All right? We'll do that next right here on the lunch break on the legendary KYOK and the all-new 92.3 FM.
I'm Gary Bledsoe, Texas NAACP president. In my lifetime, we have worked and sacrificed to make real progress. That's right, Gary. I'm Claude Cummings, Vice President of the Communication Workers of America. Our community is under attack again. Our jobs are being exported. The court system has largely turned its back on us, and people need to realize, Claude, is the last election amounts to a true
And people tell me I got a temper. I got a temper.
Call my show back in, there was mornings I had to, they weren't ready for that.
You got a little hot streak. I don't know. You got one of them tempers. Because
I don't be.
Dr. King said the time is
if they let, people always, there's no satisfying folks because they'll challenge your manhood if you were like, if you sat there and took it, they'd be like, oh, what kind of man are you to be taking it? So if you speak up for yourself and you're not disrespectful when you do it, then what's the problem? Like you said, it's your show.
11:40 a.m. on 92.3.
Brother, Dusty Baker said people don't get in my face with negativity. He said, because I'm not a turn the cheek kind of brother.
I wanted Dusty to get his chance, man. That dude deserves to be in the Hall of Fame as a manager for sure. One of the most underrated managers in the history of baseball. All that man does is win games and make teams better.
And prescription coverage too. You owe it to yourself.
Every team he left was in better shape than when he got there.
Right.
Every single team.
Two of them won World Series after he left.
Yeah, the Cubs and the
three of them did. The Reds were the only ones that didn't. The Cubs, the Giants, and Washington.
800-797-0921.
I wonder if they made sure he got a ring.
797-0921.
The organization is trash. Like I said, they should have honored the Expos with that group. I think they should have honored the greats from the Expos. There was enough players that from that organization to celebrate with them, and they didn't do that. And I thought that would have. And baseball, which talks so much about history, screwed them on that.
I didn't know though Montreal had a big mafia presence there. Did the mafia have something to do with the Expos not being successful?
No, that was that crappy stadium and their lack of major market business. I mean, they didn't have any major sponsors.
Okay.
They never would build them a stadium. They needed a baseball stadium. Olympic Stadium was falling apart for a decade. It's like Oakland Coliseum.
Build nothing without them getting a cut.
Eliminate the pain of pricking your fingers and make smarter diabetes decisions. Plus, we'll send you a 90.
They kept the Canadians. They ain't never letting the Canadians go anywhere.
Get some peace of mind. Call US Med today.
800-417-0851. 800-417.
It's always good for hockey when Canadian teams win.
417.
I'm so shocked that Washington won the Stanley Cup.
You're listening to The Lunch Break on KYOK.
All right, y'all, back here on the lunch break on the legendary KYOK and the all-new 92.3 FM. Let me get to this text message about the awesome Nick Saban. AJ, Nick was probably telling the truth, but it does look suspect. Again, I'm not saying that what I'm saying is a fact. It's my opinion. That's all I'm saying.
But even if he was telling the truth, the protocol is to isolate for 14 days.
Right.
I mean, that's just he should have done that. He should have done it. And this was about, he made a decision about Nick Saban, not for what was best in the best interest of Alabama or those players. And the players should have come first. If he thought that he was any risk, a 1% chance of infecting a player or an assistant coach or a staff member in that football office, and I guarantee you he didn't walk around that building with a mask every minute of the day. If he had a 1% chance of infecting people, then he's responsible for any player or person that gets sick, and I hope he can live with himself for that.
Well, all I know is football coaches coach. Football coaches coach. They coach football. And there's certain types of a year that they're in hyperdrive when it comes to football. I'm not saying that Nick Saban is any different than anybody else. I'm saying Nick Saban is worried about coaching football. At the end of the day,
he's an employee of the university. And if there were a professor that tested positive on Monday and had classes on Wednesday and Friday for their class and had office hours and whatnot, and they were told, no, you're supposed to go home, and quarantine, you can't have classes, and they showed up for class anyway, do you think that would not be a problem? Do you think the other faculty, do you think the other students, that people wouldn't make that an issue? So either he's an employee of the University of Alabama or not. Because if he's sacrosanct, if he lives in an island all on his own, then we're just further confirming something that we already know, that this has nothing to do with education. This has nothing to do with students. This has everything to do with money. And Nick Saban is more powerful than anybody in the state of Alabama.
Yeah. Let me tell you, Greg Padgett, who has been phenomenal in recruiting and helping kids get to college, says the NCJAA is requiring all basketball players on the bench to wear masks. Why not football, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's just the truth. It's just the truth. And the cameras, they love to pan the sidelines and what have you. And there's very few of those guys wearing their stuff on the sideline. After the game, Tom Brady was all up in Aaron Rodgers' face. Hey, we beat the poo-poo out of you. You starting to suck. I mean, are you all right?
I thought they were supposed to be banning post-game handshakes.
But
I thought that was supposed to be over.
Remember they said that in baseball too, that you're not going to do any high-fiving. You're not going to say any fist bumps and the fancy handshakes. And that's all we saw. And again, I know that the playoffs right now are in the bubble per se, but they had started doing that before they could spell bubble. So all I'm saying is it's almost like they said what needed to be said to make people feel comfortable about getting back out there, and slowly but surely it returned back to business as usual, and this thing hadn't even started to go away.
And you see in the NFL with games being rescheduled and teams having to shut down their facilities and going right back to work. Again, getting 1 or 2 days and they're going right back into these facilities. They're not postponing games for more than a couple of days. They're not shutting any, at least baseball, you could say, when they had somebody on the team, they said, everybody on the team, you're not playing. You can't travel. You shut it down. No series. You guys can't do anything. You're not seeing that in the NFL. They're letting these teams just say, we'll take a couple of days and everybody else go play. Well, you are putting, again, everybody at risk when you do that. And the leagues are not following what they said they were going to do. The pride of what the NBA did in the bubble, above all else, was that you didn't get a single positive test. Same with the WNBA, not a single positive test. Same with the NHL, not a single. But here we go with baseball and football, the ones we knew were going to create infection, and we're not stopping it.
I hate to say that I told you, but again, we broke it down. It's one thing for your facility to be, super, super clean and pristine. And what happens? You got to leave the facility to go to the airport, to get on a plane, get off the plane, go through somebody else's airport, get on some type of transportation, go to somebody's hotel, check into somebody's hotel, live in somebody's hotel, get out of the hotel, get in some type of transportation, go to the stadium, warm up, play, come back, and do it all over again to get home. So many things can happen. And oh yeah, by the way, on the college level in the SEC, they got games that got canceled. They got games that should have been canceled. That Georgia-Alabama game should have been postponed. It should have been to be safe, but we're not trying to be safe. We're trying to make money, get ratings, and Nick Saban's trying to win another championship. I get it. Just don't keep pretending like it's something else when it's not.
If at least I'd at least respect you if you're honest about it, and stop, just stop the whole charade of education and sportsmanship and what players can learn from these experiences. Let's just stop it.
Man,
just be honest about what you're peddling, and at least I can respect you. But if you're conning me, I can't deal with it, and it's a con. The NCAA is a con.
Yeah. Scott Frost and that whole these kids, if they have to go back to their potent little neighborhoods, how much treatment are they going to get? Let me run this by Scott Xavier Frost. These poor little black children, they survived before they got up to you in Nebraska. Guess what they're going to do? They're going to survive after they leave your little Nebraska. So don't get it twisted.
There's enough pandemics affecting black communities that we can make it. We'll be okay if you actually would help, if this country would actually take it seriously for us. But, again, our mortality rate is higher from this than everybody else. Our infection rate is higher than this from everybody else. So I don't know why all these folks think that they can keep these kids safe. I don't know what makes them think. I don't know what makes a football coach think he can keep a kid safe from a virus. I don't understand that. That's just not logic to me. Who gets to – you have all these non-medical people making these choices. And it's just – we don't know. That's the whole thing, is we don't know what the long term for this is going to be for these young people. And we could be talking about 3, 4, 5 years down the road, seeing that lung scarring. You could be seeing, heart infections. You could see all types of things, brain infections. We just don't know what we're going to see years down the road from this. And I think it's just to take a risk when you don't know. With young people,
well,
it's just embarrassing.
You know the deal, because the majority of a certain group of young people make up that demographic, and it's okay.
They're disposable.
That's a reasonable sacrifice. That's your reasonable sacrifice. So, again, bro, I'm gonna quit worrying about it. I'm gonna quit talking about it. I got next Saturday. Next Saturday circled on my calendar. That's when The Ohio State plays Nebraska. Scott Frost was so eager to play. Like they got the team of a lifetime, man. We gotta play this year. I can't wait till he gets beat down, Mr. 6 wins in 2 seasons or 3 seasons.
Anyway, both of them can lose.
Bruh.
Go blue.
Yeah. Are y'all gonna be all right? Is Michigan gonna be all right this year?
No.
What's Jim Harbaugh gonna do? Is he coming out of college back to the pros? What's up?
I don't care. I want him to go away. That's all I want. Go away.
It's going to turn Michigan around. I mean,
the thing with Harbaugh is he can recruit, but name one player who's gotten better since he met Jim Harbaugh in that program. He has not made any of these 5-star players who came in any better. That team, he's top 5 in recruiting every year. Why is Bama turning their recruits into stars? Why is Clemson doing it? Why is Ohio State doing it? Why is even Minnesota's turning out players who are better? And Michigan gets kids who are going to get drafted, but Harbaugh has not given them a competitive edge on the field. He loses games. He still hasn't beaten a ranked team.
Right.
Still hasn't beaten a ranked team and has one win amongst Michigan State and Ohio State. So no, I hope he gets fired.
All right. So again, who comes in there? I mean, it wasn't Bo Schembechler. You had a winner since then.
Yeah, the last one was when the championship in 1997. The last championship was in 1997 when Charles Woodson won the Heisman.
Who was the coach? Do you know?
Yeah, my man. Oh, because the last time Michigan was good was the year that they lost to Ohio State They were number 2 in the country, and Ohio State was number 1. Remember? No, Michigan was number 1. Ohio State was number 2.
Yeah, I was gonna say other way around. Yeah.
And they lost to Ohio State by 2 points. And that was the year that Urban Meyer was like, Florida should be we should be jumping up. They lost already. And then 2 years later, when it happened to Florida, he was like, no, Florida, we're still the best team in the country. Remember, they lost to Alabama. They're like, but we're still the best team in the country. And they were able to get their way back into the playoff. So that's what I remember most about that. And I'm trying to remember the coach. Gosh.
They got A&M at like number 7 in the country right now. Jumped all the way up from 22 or something like that.
What does any of this mean? Nobody's played, and all these teams are playing in the same conference. So how do you know how anybody is?
There's no way Georgia is the number 4 team in the country. And anytime Notre Dame is in the top 5, it's a joke. Anytime Notre Dame is in the top 5, it's a joke. Because you know what's going to happen. Notre Dame's going to get up against some real competition.
Ooh.
And
that's the thing. The only team on their schedule this year is Clemson. That's the only team left.
Watch what happens when they play Clemson.
But they don't care. That's the one loss.
I don't care about how much y'all love college football. And I got to do Sybil Wilkes next. I don't care about how much people love college football. I don't want to see Alabama and Clemson again. I don't care to see that. And now what I do want to see is the rematch of Ohio State and Clemson, because I think Ohio State got a couple of bad breaks in that game. But I want to see Alabama and Clemson again. I don't. I really don't care to see that. They can play it. Just don't ask me to cover it. I'm not.
I had it.
Yeah, you're so great. Let me get Sybil Wilkes out. We'll come back with some more right after this on the lunch break on the legendary KYOK and the all-new 92.3. See your text messages. We'll get them on the lunch break.
I'm going to grab some water. Whew.
Georgia voters are in a strong position to help shift the balance of power within the United States Senate. Both Senate seats are on the current ballot. The first race is a special general election to fill a vacated seat. Reverend Raphael Warnock, senior pastor of Ebenezer Baptist Church, is ahead among his 20 contenders in the very crowded race, including seat holder Kelly Loeffler. The second Senate race is between Republican David Perdue, running for re-election against Democrat John Ossoff. Perdue made headlines over an anti-Semitic ad against Ossoff, and just recently his numerous pronunciations of the first name of the Democratic vice presidential candidate, Harris. For the record, for Harris opponents and supporters alike, it's like the punctuation mark, Kamala. Number 2. 4 years ago, many black law enforcement officers broke with mainstream police unions in their endorsement of Donald Trump during his first run for president, and the separation continues. While black and brown law enforcement officers want to speak out in support of demonstrators and against police abuse, they are constrained by or overshadowed by police unions or even within their own departments. It is hoped that in turning away from the union endorsements, the public will understand where officers of color stand in this violent and divisive time. Number 3. According to a study by Columbia University, 8 million Americans are living in poverty as a result of the coronavirus crisis. And like many other aspects of the pandemic, Black and Hispanic communities and children are disproportionately feeling the brunt of rising poverty rates. The findings come after lawmakers announced they will try again this week to agree on a new stimulus package to help struggling citizens and businesses.
Hey, you want some sports with your lunch? Well, tune in to the legendary KYOK at the lunch break. And I'm Raven Rogers.
Raven Rogers, Kincaid High School, and 4-time indoor and outdoor 800-meter champ at the University of Oregon SCO Ducks. And she is now training for the 2021 Sochi Olympics. So got to have her back on the show. David Grubb, host of Hard in the Paint, joining us here on the lunch break. We are coming up on the top of the hour. Going to be an hour number 2 of the show. And David, again, we're talking about this college football stuff. But in the second hour, we're going to talk about the NFL. Some surprises yesterday. A couple of surprises yesterday. I think a couple of teams separated themselves, if you will, from the rest of the pack. And I got to give some analysts outside of myself some credit, because there's some folks that picked Pittsburgh to be pretty good. I didn't think that they were going to be as good, and they are. So, it's going to be pretty interesting. And then last and certainly not least, I said we got to talk about the Astros and them being the second team to come back from an 0-3 deficit to force a Game 7. But now they're the first team to do that and lose. So we'll talk about them. George Springer, of course, is a big question mark. We'll talk about all that as we hit this second hour of the lunch break. Let me give them a quick sports update outside of all of that. The LA Dodgers heading back to the World Series after coming back from a 3-1 deficit to beat Atlanta 4-3 on yesterday. Of course, they'll be taking on Tampa in the Super Bowl because Tampa beat the Astros 4-2 in Game 7, winner take all on Saturday. And then, of course, tonight you got the Cowboys in Arizona at 7:15. Also, you got an early game. You got Kansas City and Buffalo.
1140 AM, KYOK Conroe, and 92.3 FM, K222CX Houston.
The views and opinions expressed on all radio shows broadcast on KYOK are entirely those of the hosts, guests, and callers who are entirely responsible for all show content and do not in any way reflect the opinions of KYOK Radio, its sponsors, staff, or management.
All right, y'all, back here on the lunch break on the legendary KYOK and the all-new 92.3 FM. I'm AJ Jones, along with my brother, David Grubb, host of Hard in the Paint and writer for CrescentCitySports.com. David, what stood out for you yesterday in the world of the NFL?
Well, I mean, the biggest game that people are going to talk about is Tampa beating the Packers. But, the Packers, to me, have been suspect just because defensively I didn't think that they were that great. And so they had given up, even the Saints put up 30-plus points on them, basically on the strength of Alvin Kamara doing it by himself. So I wasn't really impressed that the Packers gave up all those points. The teams that I'm still – look, Mike Vrabel, I got to give that man a lot of props for the way he handled the end of that game. For him, that's not just gamesmanship. That's knowing you're smarter than the other team.
Yeah.
And I mean, quite frankly, that's why Houston lost again. It's when you have a coach who is in tune to the moment.
Yep.
To know that the penalty was going to save him time, and that's all he needed was time. Didn't matter. The score didn't matter. The score was going to happen one way or another. But you need the time, and he figured that out. That was the best thing of the day. I think just that, and I hate to, that's kind of rubbing the salt in the wound.
No, it isn't, because, again, I have no shame in talking about Bill O'Brien. He didn't die, so it's not like I got to honor his memory. But that's the kind of stuff that Bill O'Brien didn't take the time to learn under Bill Belichick that apparently Mike Vrabel did. Nobody does that better than Bill Belichick and Josh McDaniels on just different things that to most people don't even make sense at all, but we can use this to our advantage. I'll never forget watching a game where New England flat out let another team score. Their defense almost literally stood up so that they could go ahead and let them score, and New England could get the ball back and win the game, and not leave any time on the clock. That kind of stuff you can't teach. You either know it, or you realize the value in it and you apply it when it's applicable. And Bill O'Brien didn't have that. He didn't have that whatsoever. One of the worst things he did was clock management.
And that was just, it was genius. It was just one of those things that you don't see from coaches that just aren't prepared. And that's something that he knew what to do. That was not something that he just thought of in the moment, because when you send that guy out and the other one is panicking that's by design. It's like doing the hidden ball trick, or it's, there's the distraction to make it happen. And you are taking advantage of the rules. Yep. You are not breaking them. You are taking advantage of them. And it's just, he paid the penalty. If you're willing to take the penalty in that moment, and that's what he was willing to do.
And that's not stopping the rules committee from putting something in next season. But right now, what he did was right. It was within the rules. And New England has been there before. And again, I know he's in Tennessee, but New England has been there before where they had different line formations and what have you, had a tackle spread out, had a slot receiver inside the tackle, and they put a rule in that you couldn't do that. So, if it's something that the rule committee decides to address later on, guess what? They'll do it. But right now, man, that was genius the way Vrabel did that, and it did what exactly he wanted it to do. Bought them enough time for Derrick Henry to be a grown tail man. And I'm going to come for somebody today. And, I'm sure folks will get ready to hit me up about this. But everybody was talking about Justin Reed, Justin Reed, Justin Reed. Oh, he grew up in an NFL locker room, and oh, he's used to studying film, and oh, and da 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 da. Dude, I'm sorry, you can study film all day long. You can stand in a doggone locker room, a museum, or whatever, and you will never, ever become what that thing is. Now, hard work and ability and some God-given talent. But let me tell you something. Justin Reed didn't catch Derrick Henry when he was running down that field, 94 yards. Justin Reed didn't stop him on that last drive and had opportunities to do so. All I'm telling you is this. We fall in love here in Houston with the names of players. Oh, we got Justin Reed. Other teams have players too. And Derrick Henry wasn't afraid of Justin Reed, wasn't afraid of Ross Blacklock, wasn't afraid of Cunningham, wasn't afraid of JJ and all them guys.
Dude, how good was Tannehill in the red zone?
Give me the ball.
What did Tannehill do in the red zone? He does not make mistakes in there, and they didn't pressure him. And then the other surprises, I think, Minnesota is like the Kirk Cousins thing. You have to let that go. You got to let that go. That man is killing. Let me
jump into that. Because everybody keeps talking about the available jobs. It's going to be open. That they feel like the Jets job is going to be open.
It better be.
They feel like the Chargers job might be open. Why is the Minnesota job going to be open if that dude doesn't get to 500 and they don't, make to the playoffs?
They look awful.
They look horrible.
And you're wasting. Justin Jefferson is playing like a man. Like he's putting up ridiculous numbers. But when your quarterback is giving it back 3 times, and every week it's something like that with Kirk Cousins. It's throwing the picks. Not only does he throw picks, he throws them at the worst possible time.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. Why in the world do you just absolve Mike Zimmer of at least some heat on his seat? Because guess what? You were the one that came in here and told us that you could win with Kirk Cousins. They didn't
need a backup.
They didn't force you. He came in and cleared out the quarterback staff. Case Keenum, Teddy Bridgewater, and I forget somebody else. And let me tell you something. When you make those kind of decisions and you don't win, you got to go.
And then they gave him that huge extension. And, so you give Cousins this extension, and this is not, his level. He's just a better Ryan Fitzpatrick. You know what I mean? Like, there will be moments where you're like, oh, Kirk Cousins is pretty decent. But more often than not, if it's an important game, he's going to embarrass himself. And that is not the kind of guy that you give that kind of money to. That's why Washington didn't do it. Now Washington's doing Dwayne Haskins, and I don't know what is going on in Washington. I don't know what Ron Rivera is thinking from week to week, but you're going to bench Dwayne Haskins as the best night of his life. He looked every bit the part of a starting quarterback, and now you bench him?
So let me tell you what we've heard behind the scenes on that. In the locker room after the game, after the loss, even though he had a great game, he was looking at his stats and bragging about his stats. And the veteran players didn't like it. Coach didn't like it. So they decided to send him a message, which is why he was the third string wide quarterback heading into that next game. But let me just say this. That week is over. There's no reason in the world why Kyle Allen should be in that starting lineup this week. No reason in the world. That dude is not a franchise NFL quarterback. He wasn't that in Carolina, and he's not that in Washington. I don't care how many locker rooms he's been in. I don't care how much game film he's watched. Like they tried to sell us on Justin Reed. Listen, put Dwayne Haskins in there and give him the same shot that you do any of these other European quarterbacks that you draft, and you put them in there and let them develop into the game.
And like you said, you could go back. Your boy from Florida State, who was first round pick by the Bills, what's his name? I hate when I do this, but you know what I'm talking about. He was not really a great quarterback at Florida State. The one came before Jameis, but was drafted by Buffalo earlier than people thought. But he's out of the league now.
Yeah. Oh gosh, yeah, I know who you're talking about.
But been out of the league, can't get another job. But you see these other guys getting recycled over and over again. Right. You see them talking about, and I posted this thing today where people talk about, well, Andy Dalton's about to get paid.
EJ Manuel. EJ Manuel. Thank you, Willie Gibson.
Yeah. So, you talk about they have things in there. Andy Dalton's about to get himself paid. Andy Dalton. They're talking about he's going to get paid. And Jameis Winston and Cam Newton are making a combined $2 million this year. Nobody's calling Colin Kaepernick. Nobody would call that man. And yes, you got guys who can't throw the ball across the street starting at quarterback.
We got a chance to see. Daniel Jones and Kyle Allen play quarterback against each other. That's embarrassing. That's just absolutely embarrassing. That should not be in the NFL. The two starting quarterbacks are Daniel Jones and Kyle Allen. And I won't even offend people by calling out their stats. Kyle Allen didn't throw. Daniel Jones didn't even throw for 125 yards. And he's a starting quarterback in the NFL. And these guys are out of the league. Doggone it. Listen, Cardell Jones would be a better option than either one of those. But when you got a Joe Judge and a Ron Rivera calling the shots and making the decisions, instead of somebody who can really, really, really evaluate talent and understand that, sometimes these young men have bad days and whatever, this is what you're going to get.
And what do you do with the kid who knows his team is already losing, and has had a struggle to have a good game and finally says, man, look, I had a great day today. This is me feeling good about my effort. I guarantee you he didn't want to lose. This is a kid who has championship aspirations. You don't come from the place where he comes from, the program that he played for, and not want to be a competitor. But to have that success, if the vet's on that team, to me, that tells you why Washington doesn't win. Because if the vets were really leaders, what they would have done is take him aside and say, look, this is not how we do business here.
That's what I said to the person that told me. That's what I said to Willie Gibson. If you're a good veteran, then you take him aside and say, yo, young buck, we don't do that. That ain't how we do it.
This is what we do want you to do as the leader. If you're the leader of this team, this is how you got to represent yourself in the locker room, that you expect to do this. We're glad for you. You played great today. And we didn't get the win. None of us did enough to get the win, but you played well and we're happy for you. You know what I mean? Like that's how you do that, to build up a guy you spent a first round pick on. Well, you don't break that guy down. You don't embarrass him in front of his team, because now he's not only been embarrassed in the locker room, he's been embarrassed nationally. Right. Nationally, people are looking at the organization and him like, what's going on here?
He's got to win that locker room back, not just because of what he did, but the way you castrated him in front of his peers. It ain't like when the general manager of Pittsburgh went into the locker room and said, Ben Roethlisberger is the daddy and y'all all his children. I'm just saying Haskins should be in that starting lineup. And yeah, you're going to have your bumps. Yeah, you're going to have your mistakes, but it ain't no worse than what Kirk Cousins is doing out there. It ain't no worse than what Nick Foles is doing out there. It ain't no worse than what Ryan Fitzpatrick is doing out there. And look at Ryan Tannehill. Before he got, all of a sudden got great, got a sports therapist and got himself together. Guess what? He was a Miami as well. So I'm just saying, man, I like what some teams are doing, but some teams are just themselves. Washington is just what we expected.
And would you think you if you're Ron Rivera, you could be losing the young players in your locker room anyway? That's not how you make an impression on your young players. That's how you divide because they're gonna say, man, why did he do that?
Yeah,
that's what they're mad about. That's what that's how guys are. They go, that's what they're mad about. They tripping on that. Yeah. No, man, that ain't cool. And next thing you know, you get like you said, there's gonna be a faction of guys who just look at Rivera side-eyed and they also know the organization that they're in. They know that it's not stable.
Right. Yeah. No, that's quiet as it's kept. That's one of the reasons why Bill O'Brien's out of here. The way that he was dealing with discipline with young guys like Kiki Kuti, Ross Blacklock, some of the other guys, and you had guys like J.J. Watt and Deshaun that were beginning to speak up quietly. And sure enough, it finally got into Cal McNair's ears. He opened his eyes and he finally said, look, bro, you ain't got to go home, but you got to get up out of Houston.
What are they doing with the Jets? How does Gay still have a job?
You saw that. I got to go to the break. You've upset my stomach. I got to run to the restroom and just purge. I'll be back. The Jets, Adam Gase. We'll be right back after this on the lunch break on the legendary KYOK.
Earl G. Robinson. When people say my vote doesn't matter, when you don't vote, your vote counts against you. The other side gets a vote. If you want to fix our broken criminal justice system and reform your local police department to make it more accountable, you need to vote. If you want to increase economic prosperity in the black community, you need to vote. If you want to protect the right to vote, you need to vote. If you want more funding for our schools, you need to vote. Voting does matter. If Black Lives Matter to you, you need to vote. Early voting begins on October 13th and ends on October 30th. Election day is November 3rd. You need to vote. We all need to vote. If you don't vote, it will matter.
Paid for by the Communications Workers of America, District 6. Claude Cummings Jr., Vice President.
I am a non-attorney spokesperson representing a team of lawyers who've helped people that have been injured or wronged. Have you been diagnosed with cancer? Are you one of the millions who have taken Zantac or other generic versions of this popular drug to help treat stomach issues? Then pay close attention to this message. The FDA said it detected low levels of a probable cancer-causing chemical known as NDMA in Zantac and other generic forms of this popular drug. They've banned sales and even removed it from the market. If you've been diagnosed with cancer and you've taken Zantac or a generic equivalent, call the legal helpline now. You could receive a free cash award and have your medical expenses covered. And there's no upfront cost to you. They only get paid if you win. So please call now. 800-251-7816. 800-251-7816. 800-251-7816. That's 800-251-7816.
The legendary KYOK 1140 AM and
Two more.
92.3 FM. The legend continues.
All right, it's election time, which means political ads are everywhere. But there's a reason for that. This is important.
Come on, November
We have a
3rd.
president who is a straight up racist, who uses racist language and attacks to divide
worried, man.
We don't just need a new president, we need
I'm so
leaders
worried.
to stand up to Trump.
Oh,
But
yeah,
our senator,
I'm a little worried
John
myself,
Cornyn,
but man,
he votes with Donald Trump more than 95% of the time.
I just don't trust America, man. I just don't do it.
MJ Hagar. MJ is a combat veteran and is a working mom who knows healthcare costs are out of control.
I mean, Trump literally said Joe Biden is going to trust science.
With pre-existing conditions. And she's endorsed by
I heard
President
that.
Obama.
If I trusted the scientists, we'd be
She's got
shut
the
Oh,
down right
courage
now.
to stand up to Donald
No,
Trump
if you trusted the scientists, we'd probably be past this.
all the way down the back. And vote for Democrat MJ
200,000
Hagar
plus
for
people
U.S.
would be
Senate.
dead.
I'm MJ Hager, candidate for Senate, and I approve this message.
We would have lost some people, but it wouldn't be this.
Hi,
We have wars and don't lose this many people. Come on, man.
Show. Join me Saturdays for great fun, interviews, music, and the latest news surrounding
That
our
whole
world today.
situation
We are the
over
show
in
that cares
Detroit,
to hear
bro.
your voice and opinion.
Over in Michigan.
Real conversation in a
As a
no
guy who's
judgment
had
zone.
my life
So
threatened,
join me
you make
Saturday
fun of that?
from 1 to 2
Oh, I
p.m.
gotta come
on the
see you.
Not So Christian
Yep.
Elite, right here on the legendary KYOK Radio, 1140 AM, and the all-new 92.
I don't care what you think.
KYOK
That's
Radio.
not cool.
You're listening to The Lunch Break on KYOK.
All right, y'all, back here on the lunch break on the legendary KYOK and the all-new 92.3 FM. I'm AJ Jones. It is our Media Monday, and glad to have my brother back with me, David Grubb, host of Hard in the Paint and writer for CrescentCitySports.com. One of the big things that came out of the Texans game was when the Texans took the lead, got a touchdown that had them up by 7, and Romeo Crennel decided to go for 2. That would have put them up, obviously, by 9, as opposed to kicking the extra point, and going up by 8, which would have made Tennessee have to score and get a 2-point conversion, and then to tie the game, and then get another score in order to win the game. I'm not mad at Romeo, and I'll tell you why I'm not mad at him, and then I want to hear your point. I'm not mad at Romeo because I've seen Bill O'Brien's over-conservatism. I've seen Bill O'Brien's failure to manage the clock. I've just almost pulled my own eyeballs out with Bill O'Brien's vanilla offense. So to finally see somebody think out of the box and, oh yeah, by the way, Fairborn had just missed an extra point, so it was not a gimme. I just feel like, hey, he gambled. I get why he gambled. It made sense. You try, you don't make it. All you need is your defense to play some defense, and you win the game anyway. That's not what happened. I'm not blaming Romeo Crennel for that.
No, the offense didn't lose the game for them. I thought they did a good job. To me, I would have gone for it because I think for the psychology of that team at this point is they needed someone to say, I believe you can do this.
Right.
They needed that.
Right.
And they needed somebody like at this moment, I think you can get me these 2 points.
Mm-hmm.
I would compare it to a decision. Remember when Barry Switzer was coaching the Cowboys and they were playing the Eagles and it was 4th and inches and they it was 2nd and inches and they kept 2nd and 1, they didn't get it. 3rd and 1, they didn't get it. He handed it to Emmett again on 4th down and they didn't get it. They ended up losing the game. And Barry Switzer after the game, one of the few times he was coherent when he was with the Cowboys, he said, if we can't get 1 yard, then we don't deserve the win.
Right.
I'm asking you to make a play right now.
Right.
That's what we pay you for. This is what we practice for. Yep. Whenever it's time, you're supposed to make a play. He just didn't make the play. And I'm not putting that game yesterday on that offense. You can't give up the plays that they gave up. You can't get out. You just beat up the way they did it defensively and put that on the offense. If you put up that many points on the road, you're supposed to win a game.
Supposed to win. And you have the lead with less than 2 minutes to go in the game. And they got to drive 90 some odd yards to tie the game. Brother,
supposed to win that game.
All the things were in his favor. And again, I said even before they got to the point, this team looks different. I like the spirit of the team right now. You can tell they're not playing under the iron fist of somebody who shouldn't have had the iron fist. They're not playing under a guy that's controlling everything. To me now, what you do is you play this one out and you bring in your guy and you let that guy bring in his guys. Because I'm going to just say this out loud from my chest with my throat so people can hear me. Tim Kelly ain't it. Tim Kelly ain't it. He's not it.
You don't want anybody from this staff on the next staff.
And I love Anthony Weaver. Good dude. Real good dude. He's not it yet. And you don't have time to wait on him to become it. But then I'll also take this totally off, not completely all on Anthony, and put it back on the guy who got out of here. He put that nonsense together. This is the same guy that came in here and said, I can win with Brian Hoyer and Ryan Mallett. This is the same guy that said, I can win with Brock Osweiler, and then lied and said, I didn't want Brock Osweiler. Rick Smith signed off on that deal. This is the same guy who came out of training camp after having drafted Deshaun Watson and said, Tom Savage gives us the best chance to win, and that was for a half. And then we saw the difference between Tom Savage and Deshaun Watson. This guy put that team together. This is 100% Bill O'Brien's mess, whether he's here or not. That defense that we're seeing right now, Bill O'Brien made that.
Yeah, it's one thing to get beat because you're getting out coached. The Texans just don't have the talent. That's the simple fact of the matter.
They don't.
And what you want to see the rest of the season is how do these guys compete and do they get better? Because you're not going to playoffs. It's just that dream is done. Just stop it. The players can think about that. But the probability, you know what it is. They're not making the playoffs. Yeah. Not with the lead that the two teams ahead of them in this division, the Tennessee and Indianapolis, who at 4-2 is, I don't know, that defense is doing a fantastic job in Indianapolis. But you can't catch up.
Trying to give it away, bro.
He's trying, but that defense is so bad.
But Cincinnati and the Jets or the Giants, they would have lost on yesterday.
Oh yeah, but there's no way for Houston to come back in this. There's too many other teams in the AFC that are better. So you want to see them make decisions, try things, go for it. Get your players. That's the only way you're going to keep your team focused and energized enough to do it each week is if you say, man, we're going to let it all hang out. We're going to just do what we can do. If we fail, we fail, but we're not going to go down playing it safe.
Romeo Crennel is not coaching for a job. Romeo Crennel will have a job after this season. Romeo Crennel is going to go back into the front office, be an advisor, assistant head coach, whatever. So what does he have to lose? And oh yeah, by the way, same thing with your team. It's not like, watch this, if you win that game and you go to the playoffs, you really think this is a Super Bowl quality team? It's not. Let's just be honest. They're a good team. I'm glad to see their heart. I saw the heart of the Texans. They got something to work with. But watch this. It's not like if they lose them all, they're going to gain something. They don't have any draft picks. They're not going to be higher up in the draft because they lose them all. They don't get a chance to, what's the phrase, tank for Trevor. They don't get a chance to.
It doesn't do them any good if they were getting a number one pick because you just signed your quarterback to $40 million extension. I mean, $160 million extension. So
be competitive, take chances, and be the spoiler. And
take Deshaun. That is your job too. Don't let him take unnecessary hits. Right. That's the thing. Play your game, be aggressive.
Right.
But that's your asset going forward. Yeah. If you want to attract a good coach, Deshaun Watson is the best thing that you have to advertise. That's it.
It really is because they have.
Ain't nobody coming to coach Laramie Tunsil. I don't care what you paid for him. Yeah. Ain't nobody being like, I'm excited to coach Laramie Tunsil. No.
Right. Or J.J. Watt for that matter.
Deshaun Watson is the best selling piece that you have. So protect him at all costs this season.
Yeah, that's why I said, man, this job is not the number one job as far as attractiveness. It really isn't. And I hate to do that to Houston fans again.
San Diego, if that job becomes open and you got Justin Herbert there, San Diego is a very attractive job.
Bruh, Atlanta ain't a bad job either. And I'm just going to be real about it. Atlanta, I mean, look at what they got.
If you can make Atlanta right, the problem with Atlanta has always been the two reasons that they lose these major games is because they have not built a physical presence. They've kept relying on their offense and yet have never had a physical presence defensively. And until somebody decides to do that and build the roster that way for them, particularly in the division that they play in.
Right. You got to have good defense, and that's
you better be able to get to the passer, and they can't do that.
Right. Yeah. If Minnesota opens up, that's a good job. That's a good because you can fill in your quarterback.
Calvin Cook, Justin Jefferson.
I'm saying wide receiver, running back, and defense. Man, let me tell you. So
you got stuff in Minnesota, yeah, except for a quarterback that will give it away. That will just give it away. And the guy that I'm paying attention to, who had a really good game, and for the Lions to win and to pull out that think about this. Matt Stafford is only 32 years old. He's only 32 years old. If Detroit decides to move on from him this offseason, that is a young man who is very attractive to a number of teams. Think about how many yards he already has in his career. He's one of the few quarterbacks active right now who has a 5,000-yard season. You think that if Philly doesn't decide to move on potentially from their, situation to say, let's see what we can get a vet that they, and Detroit says maybe we can rehabilitate this young guy. There is a lot of potential for a team. New Orleans, if they don't re-sign Jameis Winston and Drew Brees retires, Matt Stafford in New Orleans could be an amazing weapon to have because that system. You put his arm and look at Stafford. I'm telling you, look at Stafford. He's been better than people want to give him credit for. And I was hard on him his first 5 years. I wanted him out, but he's a much different quarterback these last 4. I'm telling you.
Let me just say this: you cover the Saints. I'm a fan of the Saints, and the fandom in me. I don't want no Matt Stafford. You ain't lying. You all right? I mean, you
couldn't he do? What couldn't he do in that offense? If you're willing to give it to Jameis, what couldn't Stafford do?
Matt, hold on, Matt. Hold on. Jameis, you want to stay? You staying? Wait a minute, hold on. Matt,
no, I'm saying I did not say if they don't keep Jameis. I said if they don't keep Jameis.
Okay, so watch this. Jameis, you get ready to sign with who? Good luck to you, man. We appreciate you coming. Hold on. Cam, what are you doing? You staying in New England? We got a deal for you down here. Hold on.
I wanted them to get Cam. I wrote an article that the Saints should have signed Cam.
I will keep Matt Stafford on hold and call 20 other women.
20.
I will.
20.
20 other women.
Please,
okay, 10, 5. At least 5 of them.
I'd say he's about like 12 in the league. He's about 12. 12. But that's in the NFL, if you got a quarterback in the top 12 and your defense can play, the Saints' big problem is the defense. But if you put in a stat, I mean, I'm saying you look at what's available next year. If Breeze retires and they don't keep Jameis, who you going? You think it's not Andy Dalton?
No.
You know what I'm saying? And I think the competition for Cam, does Cam come to want to play for New Orleans? I don't know. Maybe he loves it in New England.
Let me mess it up real quick. Can we mess it up real quick? Let me mess it up real quick because Big Time Floyd came on, made me think about it. We got David Grubb, host of Hard in the Paint, CrescentCitySports.com. It's Media Monday, so we making news. What if Dak Prescott becomes available?
Ooh.
What if Dak becomes available?
Ooh. Now the question becomes, when is Dak ready to play?
So Jerry is saying, and Dr. Jerry be all in your medical records and stuff. Jerry's saying that Dak should be ready for full contact by the spring, which means you'll have him for training camp. You'll have him for preseason. What if Dak becomes available?
If Dak becomes available, I think, Sean Payton would be very interested because you take youth. You would always take the youth if you've got proven production. And that's what you got with Dak Prescott. You've got production. So I would take the younger guy because I know I can have him for a longer time. The investment is better for me. And if you take a guy at, like I said, a Matt Stafford at 32, then you're looking at, how a shorter, you're not signing him to another extension. That's a long term.
Right. You're getting Matt Stafford as a gap. You're getting Matt Stafford on.
So you can find someone in the draft is what you're trying to do if you sign him. But if you get a Dak Prescott, you're figuring that's my guy for 10 years.
Absolutely.
So that's what you're trying to do in that situation.
And New Orleans has been that. And New Orleans hadn't had quarterback, problems looking for a quarterback since before they got Drew Brees.
I mean, and even then it was relatively stable. You look at it because Aaron Brooks held the job for about 4 years.
He really did. Jeff Blake.
So, Jeff Blake only lost it because he got hurt. He got hurt and Aaron Brooks had to take over. But it was relatively stable. The Ditka era was bad.
Well,
Ditka was bad. But everything since then, it's been pretty stable.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Rather than, a temporary, entanglement with a Matthew Stafford, why not pick up the phone and say, hey, Jerry, listen, I know you're, kind of caught between two opinions with Dak. We'll pay him. We'll give him a long-term deal. Let's make it happen.
I think the Saints, Mickey Loomis is a genius with the cap. And I think that he could find a way to satisfy, if the Cowboys were willing to move on, I think he could find a way, because we already know the Saints do not care about draft picks. They don't care about them. They don't worry about them. They will give them away in a heartbeat. And they've got a great young core. That's one thing in the Saints' benefit is that they have a number of players under the age of 26 who are really good. So that team can be relatively cheap for a while. The big thing for them is going to be they're going to have to give up somebody to the Cowboys. I think financially, if you make that deal, it has to be it's going to have to probably be a trade that involves one of the Saints' younger players, maybe a Sheldon Rankins or Marcus Williams at safety, who's up for a contract. Maybe you try to work it that way where you move those two guys. But it's
the Cowboys need help right now, secondary and offensive line. Two places they need help right now.
And the Saints have some bonus offensive linemen to give away too.
That's what I'm saying.
So you could give up a Will Clapp. You could give up some guys that they have some. Even in Andrews Pete, they could give Andrews Pete over to the Cowboys, who is a very good pass blocker, and has just had some really, people call him injury prone, but they've been in play injuries. They've been things that happened during the game. So I don't think that makes you injury prone. If somebody rolls up on your leg and you get a sprained ankle, that's going to happen just for the NFL.
It's called football. Yeah, that's interesting dialogue right there because again, watch this. I'm almost wanting Andy Dalton to play his behind off for a year so that he can really get in Jerry's head, make him say, now, do I sign? Todd Malcolm's got this theory that, they signed Andy Dalton for $60 million over the next 3 years rather than giving Dak the kind of money that they'll pay him. If they can get Andy Dalton to look like he can run this show for less money than what they'll pay Dak, Stephen Jones will try and get in his dad's ear and say, yo, let's do this. I would love to see Dak Prescott in New Orleans. I would love to see Dak in New Orleans. Again, we're speculating, so don't.
We're talking about a long shot, right?
Right,
you know,
right,
like a lot of things have to happen for us to even.
You know how my listeners and followers are. They're all in my Twitter account.
But it's not an impossible scenario because we also know that Sean Payton has a very good relationship
with Jerry Jones
and Stephen Jones, and that they have flirted on occasion with trying to get him out of New Orleans.
Right.
I don't think that, obviously Sean Payton is made for life in New Orleans, unless they go like 0-16 3 times.
Right.
Then he's not going anywhere. Yeah. So he has the power. If he really pushed it with Mickey Loomis and thought it could happen, it could be done. I think and the Cowboys were willing to listen. There's a price for everybody. There's a price for everybody.
Hold on. Tom Brady is playing in Tampa. So, again, for folks who are telling me I don't know football and that'll never happen and what have you, nobody thought that Tom Brady was going to Tampa, but Tom Brady and whoever he was talking to in Tampa. So anything could happen. This is what I want to do from yesterday's game before the power rankings come out, because they're not going to bring them out until, after tonight's
after these games. Yeah, 2 games tonight.
Let me. Here's what I've got as the top 5 teams in the NFL right now. And you tell me if I'm crazy. After what I saw with Pittsburgh's defense yesterday, I got them number 1. Number 2, I got Seattle. Number 3, I've got Baltimore, even though they're 5-1. Number 4, I've got Tennessee. And number 5, the Chicago Bears.
Higher than Kansas City.
Watch this. Only because of their defense.
I can't trust Nick Foles. I can't do it.
I know, and it was a problem. I wanted to put Kansas City there and leave them, but I kept looking at that Bears defense, and that Bears defense is why they're 5-1.
Well, yeah, that's true, but it's Nick Foles and Mitch Trubisky. I mean, it's just.
But, hold on, let me just say this. Hold on. Super Bowl champion Nick Foles. He's been in this position before where all he's got to do is not mess it up. Mitch Trubisky, it's a whole different conversation. I put Kansas City in there. I put Buffalo up there. I put like 18 other teams up there.
See, now tonight is going to tell you a lot, because if Buffalo wins that game, you have to put Buffalo above Chicago. If Buffalo gets a win over Kansas City, Buffalo has to be ahead of Chicago, because I think Buffalo's offensive ceiling is higher than Chicago's offensive ceiling, and Buffalo's defense is really good. So if you take what Buffalo has at the receiver position, what Buffalo has in the backfield, and then you have a quarterback who has played very well this year. I'm not saying he's great, but he's played very well. We're talking about Nick Foles. That's what I'm saying. We're talking about Nick Foles and Josh Allen.
Champion Nick Foles. Josh Allen is from Wyoming. That's all I can say about him. That's all I can say about him. Josh Allen from Wyoming. Okay.
All I'm saying is I think the Bills are better than the Bears. But if Kansas City wins, I don't know. I do see why you would have Kansas City on the edge, because I think that they have to show that they're tougher than this. They haven't played tough. They have not dominated people.
That's what I'm saying.
Outside of the Baltimore game where Baltimore panicked.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. Kansas City has shown me a couple of blinks. Not glitches, but just blinks. Chicago, on the other hand, where their offense is like, oh, God, the defense is like, hold on, we'll be right back. All right, try it again. No, didn't work. Okay, we'll be right back. Try it again. Okay, good. Now you got it. That's how good that Chicago defense is right now. The teams that I got and the reason why I got Pittsburgh number 1 is because of the defense. And again, Ben Roethlisberger is not Mason Rudolph and is not Devlin Hodges. Seattle, come on, man. Best quarterback in the game right now is Russell Wilson.
I can't hate him. I don't know why people still at this point. There should be nobody who has a problem with Russell Wilson. If you don't appreciate what he's doing, then you don't like football.
It's personal. It's personal, and it's just it don't make sense. So that's why I said, man, I really feel like Pittsburgh, Seattle, Baltimore, man.
Yeah, Baltimore hits and Tennessee hits. Like you said, all those teams are teams that hit. And from a year-to-year basis, I tell you, the thing I look for just like you. I look for the team that lays the wood. And most times that's who you should bet on. And even up to the Super Bowl, for that first half, plus when San Francisco was doing what they're doing, San Francisco was the more physical team. And once they gave up their physicality by throwing the ball, they allowed Kansas City to get back in that game. Physical team, there's still room to be a defensive first, sound fundamental team that doesn't necessarily throw it 35, 40 times a game. You can win in the NFL still with solid running games and strong defenses.
Let me just say this. Tennessee, what they've done for the last 2 years is not a fluke. It's not a fluke. And I hate to say it because I don't want to give any love to the coaching tree of Bill Belichick. But Mike Vrabel, I was wrong. I was wrong, bro. I thought he got too much too soon. I get it now. That dude is the guy that he is right for Tennessee. He's the guy that should not go anywhere.
How similar is this Tennessee team in spirit and in design to the Tennessee team that made the Super Bowl?
Oh, good point.
You have your Eddie George, your tall, bruising back. Eddie George is not a small guy. He's a very tall, big back. Same with Derrick Henry. Just beat you down. 30 kick, boom, boom, just all day. Defense that doesn't make mistakes, that will hit you, that can, bring the pressure. The biggest difference is Steve McNair was an MVP, and Ryan Tannehill is a okay quarterback. But the spirit of that team, of this team, the build of it is very similar to that team, and I think that's why Tennessee embraces it, because they've seen it. It's familiar to them.
Yeah, I was going to say the only place I take exception is to.
I ain't gonna compare Ryan Tannehill to Steve McNair.
And I know you weren't. Let me take a quick break. We'll come right back with more good discussion with David Grubb, host of Hard in the Paint, CrescentCitySports.com. 281-453-1000 if you want to get in. 281-453-1000. Don't forget early voting going on now through October 30th. Early vote now through October 30th. Go to harrisvotes.com for more information. That's harrisvotes.com.
I'm Gary Bledsoe, Texas NAACP president. In my lifetime, we have worked and sacrificed to make real progress.
That's right, Gary. I'm Claude Cummings, Vice President of the Communication Workers of America. Our community is under attack again.
Our jobs are being exported. The court system has largely turned its back on us, and people need to realize, Claude, is the last election amounts to a true revolution, where all those gains in civil rights and human progress are actually being targeted.
I know powers in Washington won't deny health care to working people who have pre-existing conditions, eliminate environmental protections for minority communities. It even encourages racism.
We thought those days were gone.
Dr. King said the time is always right to do what is right.
Let's do what's right. Let's vote and get your family and friends to vote, too. If you don't, you should not be surprised to see drastic changes in your world.
Vote early or on election day.
Political advertising paid for by the Communications Workers of America.
You're listening to 1140 AM and 92.3 FM, the legendary KYOK.
You're home. You're a diabetic. You need supplies, but you don't want to visit the pharmacy. What do? Call US Med for home delivery of your supplies. If you have diabetes and you're worried about going to a crowded pharmacy, pick up the phone in the safety and comfort of your home and let US Med deliver them to you with free shipping. And now if you test your blood sugar 4 more times a day and inject insulin 3 or more times a day, you may qualify to get a new continuous glucose monitor at little or no cost, which may eliminate the pain of pricking your fingers and helps you make smarter diabetes decisions. Plus, we'll send you a 90-day supply and bill your insurance company for you. Get some peace of mind. Call US Med today.
800-417-0851. 800-417-0851. That's 800-417-0851.
I'm going to tell you how you can get real health insurance for as little as $6 a day. Yes, now you can get affordable health insurance for you and your family immediately, starting at just $6 a day. And coverage is guaranteed regardless of your medical condition. That's right, for about $6 a day, you can have guaranteed health insurance. And there's dental, vision, and prescription coverage too. You owe it to yourself and your family to make this free call right now and learn more. There are no deductibles, no waiting period, no contracts, and coverage is guaranteed. Call National Health right now for your risk-free guaranteed health insurance quote starting at just $6 a day.
Yeah, they're killing me
Call
over here about
now.
Dak Prescott going to the Saints.
800-797-0921. 800-797-0921.
I mean, we ain't saying it's gonna happen. We're not saying that's the deal. We're just saying like it could break down. Jerry ain't signed him as a the man wants his money. It could happen. It could break down. He could say, I don't want to be here anymore. He could say it.
Hey guys, this is your girl Brandy Nelson, and you are listening to The Lunch Break on KYOK.
All right, y'all, we're back here on the lunch break on the legendary KYOK and the all-new 92.3 FM. People killing me about saying the Cowboys and should part ways with Dak, and he should go to the Saints. I was just speculating. We
didn't say should. Nobody said should.
Right.
What you said was it would be something to see.
Yep.
If it came to that. So I think folks got to make sure they pay attention.
They don't. You know, sports. You know, and
we weren't creating a rumor. We weren't saying people were negotiating.
Right.
Nobody trying to push Dak out of town.
Right. Here's a guy I respect, though. Big Cowboy fan. Big Time Floyd says regarding Dak versus Matt Stafford, who's the most accurate? Who has the higher percentage on throwing picks under pressure? This will certainly weigh in on Jerry Jones if he wants to continue with Dak going long term after he turned down a 5-year, $175 million deal. I predict that Jerry will probably be in the market for trading for another quarterback. And that's what I'm saying. With a guy like Jerry Jones, you never know. Mm-hmm. And I'm telling you, Dak Prescott in the mix changes a whole lot of dynamics in people's quarterback rooms. If I had a chance between Jameis Winston, Taysom Hill, and Dak Prescott, I'm going to lean towards Jameis because he's been in that system for a year. And, it's not
an
like
actual quarterback.
Yeah. But hear me when I say, if the Saints have a chance to get Dak, Matthew Stafford's a great guy. Come over and let's have some wings. But
I'm taking Dak 10 out of 10. I'm taking Dak 10 out of 10.
That's what I'm talking about. If I'm in Chicago, I'm not putting up with Nick Foles and whatever that boy's name is, Mitchell Trubisky. I'm going with Dak.
Well, they got too much money invested now. The Bears are all messed up financially. Nobody's going to take either one of those guys off their hands. They're stuck.
There are a lot of teams right now that will flip their whole script if Dak Prescott becomes available.
If Dak, Matt, look, you could see the Falcons moving on from Matt Ryan because they've already said that everything is under review. Let's say Matt Ryan, who is still relatively among quarterbacks now in his age, he should have another 5 or 6 years on the clock. So if you're the Cowboys and you can't reach a deal with Dak, that could be a trade that you're willing to make, that the Falcons would be interested in. And certainly if you're Dak Prescott, the opportunity to go to a market like Atlanta and be potentially the face of that franchise that has always embraced a black quarterback, it could be it's a city where the dynamic could be very different for him. And Atlanta, I think, and in a division where you would be looking at a division where it already is the toughest quarterback division in the league.
Right.
But it would be tougher for years to come.
Right. I'm just telling you, man, Dak will not have to worry about a job if Jerry and Steven decide to move on.
If he lost his foot, he still wouldn't have to worry about a job.
Yeah. I'm just saying it can all be very, very interesting. So we got a couple games tonight. You talked about it. The Kansas City Buffalo game is going to be interesting. That one will kick off at 4:00 our time on Fox, and then it'll be followed by Dallas and Arizona. Give me your thoughts and feelings on KC at Buffalo.
For some reason, I just want to say Buffalo. I just really want to say, I believe in Patrick Mahomes. I believe in that offense, but I think Buffalo can slow them down. And I have not seen the Chiefs play a great defensive game yet. I haven't seen it. I don't even think they played a great defensive game against Baltimore. I think Baltimore gave them an advantage by playing into their hands. So I want to see the Chiefs play a very solid defensive game. I think Buffalo at home, I give them that edge. I give them that because they're at home. I give them that edge.
It's going to be interesting to me because it'll be a bounce-back game. The way that Tennessee manhandled Buffalo, the way that Tennessee's defense turned Buffalo's quarterback back into his old self versus this new guy that he supposedly had become. If they're legit, they'll bounce back. If not, then that could be the beginning of a slide. And some games will do that to you. Some games will literally make you will change your whole season. And that game, may have done that. We'll know more this afternoon.
That's two teams that want to be physical that ran into each other, and Tennessee just slapped harder. Tennessee has a bigger hand, and it's just.
And you know what? And I'm not surprised that Tennessee put up the points that they put up yesterday, even on a short week. The defense playing the way that they did, I think, suffered from the short week. But Tennessee's offense is just that good. It's just that good.
And if you're pushing forward, if you let an offensive line go forward for most of the game, that's what they want to do. Right. They don't want to retreat. They want to go forward. So that's what that game plan allows them to do. And against the Texans' defensive line, you can go forward pretty easily.
Man, again, Derrick Henry himself almost amassed 300 yards. So,
and they said that man wasn't versatile.
Bruh. Dallas and Arizona. What do you expect there?
I hate to say it, but I think Arizona's going to win that game. I think Dallas on the back end has been very bad. They give up a lot of yards, and I think this is a game for DeAndre Hopkins to make some big plays down the field. You've seen receivers just do this to Dallas all year, and he's going to be the latest.
Right. And what people don't understand is with DeAndre Hopkins, even when teams know that he is the only option that a quarterback has, that dude finds a way. I expect DeAndre Hopkins to have a big game, but I'm still picking them Cowboys to win it because I'm now Andy Dalton's biggest fan, God dog it, because I want him to ball.
Kyler Murray can run too, and the Cowboys don't like that. Remember, Cam gave them all that work with his legs, and Kyler Murray is shifty and can get on that outside. The Cowboys they don't have great linebackers either.
Yeah,
and they have great linebackers, so you can't let Kyler Murray get on that edge.
Vander Esch was more necessary than people realize. Vander Esch had definitely taken the reins from Sean Lee. And I got to tell you, man, that young kid is just one of them linebackers, man, like Dak Gwynn and one of them linebackers that he ain't flashy, he ain't all this.
Zach Thomas.
Right. Just know how to play that spot, that position. So they're missing him. I'm going Cowboys tonight in a close one. I'm going Kansas City in the early game. Let's get to the Astros, please. There's this crazy little, I don't know where it even came from, that because a team is up early and then they lose a game or two, that now all the pressure is on that team. You had a lot of people here locally were saying that all the pressure now is on Tampa, and and the Astros have the momentum now. And all the
Baseball
pressure
don't work like that.
It doesn't.
Baseball is 7 individual games. The pitching is the greatest variable in all of that. The pitcher is different. Like in a basketball series, it's the same players every night.
Yeah.
If you play a football game, it's one shot.
Yeah.
And baseball is literally a series. So a pitcher changes everything. So it's the same pressure every night. You have to hit the ball or you don't. You have to field the ball or you don't. And it's all the guy who has to come out there and pitch. The only thing that affects it to me is rest. Rest is the biggest factor for that. And even with rest, some guys are on and some guys are off. It's just baseball doesn't work that way. I think mentally where teams collapse that way. When you lose, there's generally a reason. And you can watch those games and see the reason. And it's not because somebody choked in the moment. It's because the matchups weren't right. They didn't get hits at the right time. They didn't field enough. So
and again, I hate being that guy locally who says, all right, but what if they don't? What if the Astros don't, get the momentum and their bats come alive? Because, by the way, Tampa has some bats too. And, it's almost like both teams were the players that you were looking for to step up were equally as cold. But Tampa had the big hits in the series, and their defense was not just abnormal. Their defense was what it was supposed to be. Defense. I don't care if you robbed somebody of a home run. I don't care if you made a shoestring catch. I don't care if you were able to turn a double play and it's bang, 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 bang. You did it, and you kept runs from scoring. You pitched out of difficult spots, and you won the game. And that's all Tampa had to do. And when they did it a little bit better. And now they're going to the World Series. The Astros are not.
And you got to give everything to the Rays the way they made it through this postseason. What they did to the Yankees, they forced the Yankees to try to be them, and it didn't work. And so they know who they are as a baseball team. They don't try to do things that this team. When we talk about comparisons, the Kansas City Royals of a few years ago.
Right.
Kansas City had good enough starting pitching. They got a great year out of Zach Greinke that year. They got some solid start. They had solid starters, but they played incredible defense, and they could manufacture runs, and they got big hits when they needed them that whole year. That's what this Tampa team is like. They don't have a bunch of mashers. They don't have guys they don't have 7-run innings, but they don't make mistakes, and they're waiting for you to mess up.
Yep, unforced errors. And I got to tell you, I'm happy for the way the Astros fought back. Dusty Baker, obviously not going to be manager of the year, but Dusty Baker should have a chance to come back and manage this team in whatever season that they're going to have next year and have a chance with Justin Verlander. And Verlander's probably not going to be healthy again next year, by the way.
No.
But those young pitchers that the Astros found throughout this season, that's Dusty. So give this guy a chance to finish it off. Now, I'm concerned. I don't think they're going to get Springer back. I don't think they want Reddick back.
And Correa's not going to be cheap either.
I don't care about him. Michael Brantley is the other free agent. If you lose Springer and Brantley, then you got a problem. I say
who's bidding, though? Who's bidding? Because the Red Sox have shown that they're maybe not interested in spending that kind of money. I think the Yankees are not looking for an outfielder because they already got too many.
I think the Yankees are going to make a bid for Springer. I don't think they'll go after Brantley. It'll be probably
they can't have Springer if you got Judge and Stanton making the money that they're making, and you're keeping Aaron Hicks in center, and you've got Gardner still on his deal. That's a lot of money for the Yankees to eat when they still need pitching, and they got to re-sign Gio at third. And you got DJ LeMahieu is up for is a free agent, and they have to re-sign DJ. DJ is the heart of that team.
All that bodes well for the Astros. If they don't have to bid against those two franchises, I don't see LA.
The Dodgers are going to spend that money. They got too much money invested now.
I don't see Washington making a bid for Springer.
Nope.
The Cubs. I'm trying to think the big.
What have we also seen out of baseball the last 2 summers? Depressed wages for free agents.
Yeah.
Look, what did Bryce Harper get? I don't think, and now that the market is even worse because of what their losses are for this season, they won't be throwing out big contracts. You won't be seeing these giant deals this offseason.
Here's the other thing I don't want Springer to do, though. I don't want him to settle for the Astros. If he's coming back to Houston, they need to pay him like they paid Bregman. They need to pay him like they paid the other guys, because guess what? Yes, I'm going to say it. This is the one black guy that they need to pay him his money, and they need to treat him like he's Alex Bregman, because guess what? He carried you. Give him Alex Bregman, Jose Altuve money, and bring him back. Or, if I'm him, I'll take my chances out there, but I'm not coming back.
They need to keep Dusty too. Like you said, Dusty to me is, and we talked about this, he's the most underrated manager in baseball, in my opinion. He doesn't get the credit that a Frank Kona or a La Russa gets, because he doesn't have that one title in his hands yet, but he's made every franchise he's ever coached better. And he's taken 2 teams to the World Series. And not only did he save this season for the Astros in a lot of ways, he restored the dignity of the franchise, because nobody is a bigger baseball man and has more respect amongst players and coaches across the league than Dusty Baker.
Yeah, I agree. We got to go. Again, you bring Dusty back, you bring Springer back, and take your chances without Brantley and Reddick, to me. But we'll see. We'll see. Great job, Astros. Way to fight. David, tell everybody where they can find you, follow you, all the great stuff you do.
Yeah, new episode today with author Andrew Snorton. We talked about his new book, Nothing Minor, which is about his trip through the minor leagues. A lot of focus on young African-American ball players in the minors, too, in their particular journey. And that'll be out this afternoon. You can follow me at DM Grub on Twitter and Instagram, and go to the website, hitpwithdg.com. Check out the store. Cool stuff there.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate you as always, bro. Welcome back.
Thank you.
And I got your message, man. Thank you for that. I mean, it means a lot to me, David.
Thank you. And I'll talk to you on Wednesday.
All right, brother. Looking forward to it, man. David Grubb, y'all. All right, let me get ready to go. We got Donnie McClurkin up next with the Donnie McClurkin Show. He'll give you the best in gospel music, latest in the gospel music industry. Donnie does his thing every Monday through Friday from 2 to 3. Erica Griff and Get Up Mornings. It's tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. with Tim. And then you got Dr. Sylvia Cole and Call to Inspire. That'll be before I come back in with Team Texas Tuesday. As always, let's not be divided. Let's be united. I love you. There's nothing you can do about it except wear your mask or your shield, wash your hands, and whatever you do, sanitize and give people their 6 feet. And when you see the racism, and I mean, we're seeing a lot of it, do not be a part of it. Kill it. Not the person, the racism. And get out and vote. You can early vote between now and October the 30th. Election day is November 3rd. Get out and vote. Love y'all. Y'all take care. All right, y'all. I hope y'all enjoyed the show. Again, y'all know me. I love y'all. If you ever have something that you don't agree with me that I say or on the show or whatever, call, but do it respectfully, man. I don't mind you having your own opinion. In fact, you might get me to see it your way. But just do it respectfully and tell your friends and family if they're going to call in and do the same thing. Y'all know the deal. Not this, but this. I do. I love y'all. Let's go make some good trouble, okay? All right, I love you. Vote, vote, vote. Did I say vote? Vote.